What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex, and today I'm going to be talking about a new Netflix movie called We Have a Ghost. We Have a Ghost stars David Harbour and Anthony Mackie. After Kevin finds a ghost named Ernest haunting his new home, he becomes an overnight social media sensation. But when Kevin and Ernest go rogue to investigate the mystery of the latter's past, they become targets of the CIA. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, dude, why are you reviewing another Netflix movie? You clearly have a grudge against Netflix. Why even bother? You're probably going to dislike the movie anyway. And yeah, that's probably true, but this looked like a fun ghost story for me. And Christopher Landon can make some fun movies, even if they are hit or miss. I really like Freaky. The first Happy Death Day is really fun. The second one's, and I think he did a couple of Paranormal Activity movies, which I just watched that entire series all the way through. The first three are fucking terrifying. I never want to watch those again. Just saying. But I mean, I was intrigued. It was David Harbour as a ghost, which is A+ casting. I'll talk about that in a minute. Anthony Mackie, I've always really liked. For the first 40 or so minutes, I was actually finding myself enjoying this movie. I had seen a lot of negative comments from a lot of friends and a lot of mixed reviews by critics. And for the first 40 or so minutes, I didn't get it. I was really, really into this movie. It has a really interesting premise, some really interesting ideas that are presented within those first 40 minutes, where I said to myself, I can get on board with this. That chunk of the movie really had the chance to defy genre cliches and do something that we seldom see in a movie like this. And it doesn't defy the genre cliches, but for a while I was like, okay, I'm having enough fun where I can overlook those cliches. And if at the end of this movie, here's how I look at it. If you do all the cliches, but you put a different spin on it, I'm happy. Also, if the emotional weight outweighs the cliches, then I'm fine with cliches, even if you don't do anything different with them. So that's where I thought that maybe it was going. And there's a couple of themes the movie touches on. I'll get into the thematic elements of the movie in a bit. But I thought that we were going to go down a route where we didn't see so many cliches. And for a little bit, that's how it felt. It wasn't following the cliches to a T. The movie does take a bit of a nosedive after those first 40 minutes. Even throughout the rest of the movie, I still had things that I liked. I thought the humor really worked. Christopher Landon's always been really good with humor. There was one scene involving Jennifer Coolidge towards the beginning that had me dying. I was in stitches. It was the funniest scene of the entire movie, and I could rewatch that scene all day. It's the best scene in the movie. And I understand what the movie's trying to do with its thematic weight. It's trying to present emotional weight through different themes that are going to come around at the end and try and wrap and tie everything together from a thematic and emotional standpoint. There's an attempt there to have something a little bit more meaningful. I just think that the movie fails in that regard, and here is why, and here's where we get into my negatives. So essentially the story is centered around a father and a son who are trying to reconnect. They've drifted apart. They're trying to reconnect. The only thing is that I didn't buy Anthony Mackie's character trying to reconnect with his son. It did not work for me. That is the emotional weight that this movie is going for, and that is the thematic resonance that this movie is trying to present. Father and son reconnecting. Did not work for me. It may work for others, but for me, it was a no-go. And it's mostly because Anthony Mackie's character, not Anthony Mackie himself, but the character, is the biggest selfish asshole I have ever seen. All he wants is fame and fortune and views on YouTube. He wants his 15 minutes of fame, essentially. He just wants that internet sensation. And he's kind of an asshole. Like, he takes credit for what his son discovered. And he never really gives his son credit for that. So that theme of a father trying to reconnect with his son didn't work for me because Anthony Mackie's character was so selfish. David Harbour as a ghost, too, that should be a home run. But why would you cast David Harbour as a ghost and he doesn't talk? He's really good in the role for what the limitations of the role are asking him. It's David Harbour, man. Like, you cast him to have him talk. Like, he's so good. Like, that's how good he is. Like, it's like saying, let's make a Santa Claus movie where he fights violent criminals, but let's not have Santa talk. That would be a really, really shitty version of Violent Night, huh? Yeah, I would have hated that. See, he plays the ghost Ernest, and he's got some slapstick for sure, but it's with him not talking, I couldn't connect with him as much as a character. And I guess my last issue with this movie is that the entire second half feels like it's playing homage to Ghostbusters or one of the old Spielberg movies or one of the old like classic like 80s ghost movies that has kind of a lighthearted tone like this, but it got to the point where it felt like a ripoff. There's an action scene with Anthony Mackie's son, like that character, a friend of his, and Ernest in a car, and there's a car chase. And immediately I thought, oh, wow, this is exactly the same thing from Ghostbusters Afterlife when Phoebe, Podcast, and Trevor are in the Ecto-1 and they're chasing Muncher through town and Phoebe's trying to catch Munster and trap him in the ghost trap. I was like, this is the exact same action scene, just minus the Ghostbusters characters. And it really bothered me because it felt more like a ripoff than it was an inspiration, and that dragged the movie down. There were so many instances in the second half of the movie where it just felt like, hey, look, I'm inspired by Spielberg movies, or I'm inspired by Ghostbusters, so let's just pay homage to them and remind you how much better those movies did stuff like this. So when I watch We Have a Ghost again, I mean, perhaps, I mean, I didn't, as a person who is not a big fan of Netflix originals, I didn't hate it. If I were to watch it again, it would be around Halloween time. But even then, I can think of so many other movies that have a similar tone that I would rather watch again, that I have more fun with before I watch this again. I mean, I love the humor. The tone is fine. The ideas presented are interesting, but it doesn't follow through with those ideas because those themes don't really hit home for me and they don't really resonate with me because of how terrible the characters are in this movie. And casting David Harbour as a speechless ghost is, quite frankly, one of the biggest crimes you could commit. It just felt like it was ripping off things like Casper and Ghostbusters a little too much for my liking. I will say I enjoyed We Have a Ghost with half a bucket of popcorn. I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than some of my peers, but it's still not as good as I think Netflix wants it to be. And it does feel like a movie that is there just for a quick view grab. But I mean, I don't even know if I could say that because I heard about this movie yesterday and there was no marketing for it. So I have no idea where this came from. They're just like stealth dropping these movies now because they know they piss people off with their password thing. Yeah, they have no clue what they're doing, do they? All right. Yeah, I'll stop with that. I'll stop talking shit about Netflix. So if you have seen We Have a Ghost, I want to know what you thought about it. Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.